Well, good morning from Cozumel, Mexico. It's bright and early. It's like 6 a.m. in the morning. Look who I'm parked beside. The Regal Princess, which I just stepped off of yesterday. We got the catamarans and everybody getting ready to set sail for everybody on their excursions today. And there's another ship in town, and I think I'm going to go over and see if I can find somebody that I know on board. But before that, let's cover some news. So, as I mentioned the other day, we have had a medical emergency on board. Our very first full sea day, we were sailing out, and in the evening, the captain came on and said that we had to head into port. So, on our way into Roatan, we actually stopped in during our sea day, the second sea day, and dropped off a passenger. And here's a photo here of the passenger. You can see it's not an easy thing sometimes to evacuate people from cruise ships. A lot of people they're just down the gangway and away you go. And that's not always the way it works. You can see they're kind of sliding them out a hole into the ambulance, but hopefully the passenger is okay. Two passengers got off and needed immediate medical attention. They called that night for people with, looking for volunteers for blood. So there was a possibility they needed a blood transfusion as well. It was just going into the early evening, quite windy, and I'm thinking they decided, well, it probably was safer to head straight into port than to try and evacuate this person who, as you could see, couldn't even walk down a gangplank. They were in a stretcher the whole time. And so, do you put them up in a basket into the helicopter? Do you try and lower them to a boat beside? It's probably safer for them in the condition they were in to just be evacuated once they got on shore. And it will turn out to be cheaper because you won't have to pay that, evacuation cost as well, as much as, the stop in inconvenience the ship a little bit. But the ship's not too bad to do something like that when you're saving a life. But another thing that's happened on this sailing that was kind of interesting as well, I also reported out that the Radiance of the Sea has had an outbreak on board. Its last sailing, and now the current sailing, they did a deep cleaning before leaving port, and they still have an outbreak on board going on. About close to 100 people are affected now on the ship. So much so that they needed extra care and extra help on board in the medical facilities. So guess what they did when they were beside us yesterday? They borrowed one of our nurses. So one of our nurses went over to the ship to help out with all the people who were coming down with the gastro illness on board. Doesn't seem like anybody's in life-threatening conditions or anything like that, but when there's that many people, it's hard for a small staff on board the smaller ships especially to help out. So here they are ready for that amount. Oh, look who's leaving here below me. We got one of the jet boats. Those are the ones that'll spin all around on their way to the beach. Took some ladies out on that on our very first group cruise we ever did on the Caribbean Princess, and we got soaked. Soaked to the skin. But yeah, it's a beautiful day so far here. We're hoping that the medical emergencies, both on the Radiance of the Seas, like everyone starts feeling better. Hopefully it doesn't continue into the next sailing as well. But they borrowed one of our nurses, and then they also, we had to evacuate somebody on our very first sea day, had to pull into port. Luckily, it didn't really affect too much of our sailing, as we had lots of time to get to our first port of call, and nobody was inconvenienced that way. So good call by the captain and the crew, And there's Royal Caribbean helping each other out by sending nurses from one ship to another when they have some issues on board as well. And then, have you ever wondered what it's like to watch a aqua show on the Oasis class ship from 85 feet above the stage? In fact, so far up that I'm higher than the high wire act that's out there. So here, let me show you. So that's just a little taste of the high wire show that's here, called A Fine Line on the Harmony of the Seas. And tonight I'm seeing Columbus, and I've already seen Greece twice. And believe it or not, the cruise is almost coming to an end. But I want to talk about this cabin in particular and a few more things on the ship that'll be coming up a little bit later. Well, I hope you appreciate this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Want to see more tips, more tricks, more travel vlogs from around the world? Hit that subscribe button. Until next time, have yourself a safe and a great vacation.